threw out the tube. I think they're all the same size of fish, but this rod is just perfect for that. I mean, a lot of times with that light line, you don't want to have a rod that when you set into them, it just stops, because that light line will, I mean, you're going to break off a fair number of fish. So just another little spot. We got to go find some big ones. Okay, I just caught that fish on a little tube, or it gets it. And you know, a lot of times in the winter time, they don't want a big profile jig, especially on spotted bass lakes. And a tube is perfect. You imitate a shad, crawfish. You know, here I chose a green pumpkin color because the water is just a little bit stained. If it was gin clear, some of the lakes I've fished before, you know, I catch them on like salt and pepper tubes or whatever. And basically, there's a couple different ways that I've caught them, especially in the winter time. One is just kind of a slow drag, you know, with a little bit of shake every now and then. And the other, when you have fish that are on bait or schooled up around a treetop or something, a lot of times if you just snap the rod tip real quick, it makes those fish react to it like a shad, you know, trying to escape the school or something like that. So there's just a couple different techniques to try. You know, it can be a deadly technique, but I think we're going to get out of here, leave these little fish alone, and go try to track down some, maybe a big largemouth or some better sized spots, because these definitely aren't tournament winners, but they're still fun to catch. Okay, we just run down the lake, and I'm going to graph real quick to see what's here. Basically what it is right in front of us there's an island. When the lake's up, it's obviously down in the water, but it has a real hard channel swing that runs back into this major feeder creek of this lake. There's actually 3 main feeder creeks, and this is one of them. And so we're right on this outside break. I want to see if there's bait or fish, and there's a bunch of bait right there. There's some fish. Those dark red arcs are actually fish, because that's their air bladder being exposed, or you know, the grass picking that up. The bait's above them. I mean, there's obviously some fish and bait here, so I think we're going to try to, I might start off with a jig. And I mean, these fish, you might be able to catch them on a spoon, even the way they're positioned around the bait. You can see these fish here, all these fish are around that school of bait. So I mean, obviously they're feeding on them. So I mean, some best action we've seen all day thus far, so we'll give it a shot, see what happens. Well, we just got done fishing that island with all the bait and the fish, and no success. I mean, the fish were way up off the bottom, which I don't like to see. You know, I mean, I've caught them like that before, but it's generally not a good sign. I like for the fish to be somewhat, you know, structure oriented around, you know, next to the bottom, somewhere you can present a bait to them properly. We came back in here into the feeder creek that I was talking about earlier, and it's a real good spot to catch a nice fish. Especially in like winter time, you're not going to get a whole lot of bites, but the bites you get are going to be good ones. So I mean, we got a little small limit of spots, and to win a tournament or to do well, you're going to have a good one. So rather than staying out there and trying to grind out, you know, a decent little limit, I'd like to go for a big one. So we're going to try it. A crankbait this time of year is probably my favorite type of reaction bait. You know, I mean, the baits that have come out today are extremely effective. This here is the new color by Jackall. It's the MC60 SR in the Super Shad color. I've actually won a couple tournaments on it since I've got it. So I mean, it's a really good color. The other color I like throwing this time of year is just a regular crawfish. Jackall makes one called a super crawfish, which again, I've had a lot of good success with it. The other color of the MC60 SR that I've caught some fish on recently has been that sparkle shad, the SS sparkle shad. And you know, just kind of let the water clarity kind of dictate what color you need to throw and what depth you need to get down to. If I was fishing out on the main lake, I'd probably be throwing a muscle deep 15, something like that, where I can get it down deeper. But you know, in here, I mean, this whole creek channel right here is maximum depth is 11-12 feet. So I want something that's going to stay in anywhere between 5 to 8-9 feet and hopefully catch a big one. There's one. Covering water with the super shad. Got one, but not the size we're looking for, but it's a good sign that maybe there are some good ones still back in here. You know, it's always a good sign also when a fish eats the front of the bait, the front hook of the bait. That means that it's matching the hatch, something they want. So I'm going to continue on and see if I get a big one. Nice little fish. Okay, the gear I like to throw, the MC60 MR, is a PAL 753 PAL Max crankbait rod. And the reason I like that is I can, first of all, this bait is really, really light, but I can launch this thing. I can make real long casts, cover a lot of water. And it's got the perfect tip to feel, you know, to feel everything, feel the wobble on this bait. And then when a fish eats it, it's got enough backbone right there to land them, you know, but at the same time, it's soft enough when you're fighting them next to the boat, especially these crazy spotted bass, it won't pull the hooks out. I'm just throwing a Revo Premier bait cast reel, and I like fishing, you know, these crankbaits, especially this time of year when you're trying to get the bait down a little bit, on either 10 or 12 pound 100% trilene fluorocarbon. So, you know, the hooks that come with these, I've never had a problem as far as having to change them out. Jackall includes some awesome hooks on these baits, so pretty much you just get these, tie them on, and you'll start catching fish. Another one on the Super Shad. Not the biggest, not what I'm really looking for, but still, it's, you know, get enough bites in here and you're going to get the right one.